The city streets were buzzing with activity when Special Agent Maya Carter pulled up to the crime scene. As an experienced FBI agent, she was used to tense situations, but nothing could prepare her for what was about to happen. Dressed in her sharp suit, badge in hand, she stepped out of her car, ready to take charge of the investigation. But before she could even introduce herself, Officer Daniels, a local cop, blocked her path. His eyes were filled with suspicion, and his tone was anything but professional. "Step back, this is police business," he snapped, ignoring the FBI credentials she held up. Maya remained calm, keeping her voice steady. "I'm here on official orders. This case falls under federal jurisdiction." Daniel scoffed, barely glancing at her badge. "I don't care who you are. You don't belong here." What happened next shocked everyone. Without warning, he shoved her back, his hand gripping her arm tightly. Gasps rippled through the crowd of officers and onlookers, but Maya wasn't one to be intimidated. In a split second, she twisted free, standing her ground. The air grew thick with tension as Daniels realized he had just made the biggest mistake of his career. For a moment, the entire scene fell silent. The other officers shifted uncomfortably, exchanging uneasy glances. They knew Maya was FBI, and they also knew Daniels had just crossed a serious line. But no one stepped in. Daniels, still fuming, clenched his fists. His pride wouldn't let him back down, not in front of his fellow officers. "You think you can walk in here and take over?" he said, his voice low and sharp. "This isn't your territory." Maya held her ground, her expression calm but unwavering. "This case is bigger than you realize, Officer Daniels. You're interfering with a federal investigation." Daniels let out a bitter laugh. "Interfering? You walked onto my asterisk crime scene, acting like you own the place." His eyes narrowed. "I don't take orders from people like you." There it was. The words were direct, but the meaning was clear. Maya had dealt with this kind of hostility before, but she wasn't here to argue. She was here to do her job. Keeping her temper in check, she reached for the case file in her pocket, ready to explain the situation. But before she could, Daniels took a step closer, his posture stiff, his hand hovering near his holster. Maya noticed the way Daniel's hand hovered near his holster, a silent warning. She had seen it before, officers trying to assert control through intimidation, but Chief didn't flinch. Years in the FBI had taught her how to handle men like him. The other officers remained still, watching, waiting to see how this would unfold. Some of them seemed uneasy, shifting on their feet, but none spoke up. She took a slow breath, keeping her voice steady. "Let's not make this into something it doesn't need to be, Officer Daniels. I'm here because a key witness in a federal case disappeared from this very neighborhood. I have reason to believe this crime scene is connected." Daniels scoffed. "And I suppose you think we can't handle it." Maya ignored the challenge in his tone and pulled out the file, flipping it open to reveal a photograph. It showed a man in his early 30s, eyes filled with fear. His name is Anthony Graves. He was set to testify against a powerful crime ring. Now he's missing. Last seen 2 blocks from here. A flicker of something crossed Daniel's face. Recognition. Guilt? It was gone in an instant, replaced by a hardened expression. Never seen him. But Maya wasn't convinced. The way his jaw tightened, the stiffness in his stance, he was hiding something. And she intended to find out what. Maya studied Daniels carefully, noting the way his eyes darted away for a split second. He was lying. She had interrogated enough people to recognize the signs: shallow breathing, clenched jaw, stiff posture. He knew something about Anthony Graves, and she wasn't about to let him brush her off. "You sure about that?" she asked, her tone cool but firm. Because witnesses saw him near this very block before he disappeared. And I have reason to believe someone on the inside tipped off the people he was running from. Daniel's nostrils flared slightly, but he didn't respond. A few of the other officers exchanged glances, their discomfort growing. Maya could feel the tension thickening around her, pressing in from all sides. She wasn't just facing one hostile cop, there was something bigger at play, and that meant she was running out of time. Before she could press further, the radio on Daniel's shoulder crackled to life. Dispatch to all units. We've got a report of gunfire near the old warehouse on 5th. Possible suspect on the move. Maya's stomach tightened. That location was only a few blocks away, exactly where Anthony had last been seen. She barely had time to react before Daniels turned, his face unreadable. "Stay out of this, Agent Carter," he warned. Then, without another word, he rushed toward his squad car. Maya didn't hesitate. She wasn't about to let him handle this alone, not when the pieces were finally coming together. Heart pounding, she sprinted after him, ready for whatever came next. Maya barely reached her car before Daniel sped off, his tires screeching against the pavement. He was in a hurry, too much of a hurry. If this was just another call, why did he seem so rattled? Something wasn't right. Without wasting another second, she jumped into her vehicle and followed, keeping a safe distance. The drive to the warehouse felt longer than it should have. Maya's mind raced with possibilities. If Anthony Graves was still alive, this could be their only chance to find him. But if Daniels was involved in his disappearance, then she was walking straight into a setup. She tightened her grip on the wheel. Either way, she had to see this through. As she turned onto 5th Street, her instincts screamed at her to slow down. A row of abandoned buildings loomed ahead, their windows shattered, graffiti marking the walls. Daniel's squad car was parked just outside the warehouse, his door wide open, but he was nowhere in sight. Maya stepped out cautiously, scanning the area. The air was eerily still, except for the distant hum of sirens. Then she saw it, a faint trail of blood leading into the warehouse. Her pulse quickened. She reached for her gun, inching forward, every step heightening the tension. Then a voice echoed from inside, low, urgent. "You weren't supposed to follow me." Maya froze. Daniels, but his tone wasn't angry, it was desperate. And that's when she realized the real danger wasn't just him. Someone else was inside, and they were waiting for her. Maya's grip tightened on her gun as she stepped inside the warehouse, her pulse pounding in her ears. The dim light barely cut through the dust-filled air, casting long shadows against the rusted beams. Daniel stood a few feet ahead, his hand pressed against his side, blood seeping through his uniform. He was hurt, but he wasn't the only one there. A man emerged from the darkness, his gun trained on Daniels. Maya recognized him instantly. Darius Cole, a ruthless enforcer for the very crime syndicate Anthony Graves had been set to testify against. This wasn't just about corruption. Daniels hadn't been covering for himself. He had been forced into something much bigger. Cole's eyes flicked toward her, a slow smirk forming. "Didn't expect company," he muttered. "But I guess this saves me some trouble." Maya kept her stance firm. "Where's Anthony?" Cole chuckled, shaking his head. "You're too late." For a split second, the words sent ice through her veins. But then, a faint rustling echoed from the back of the warehouse. Someone was there. Someone still alive. Cole heard it, too, and turned just enough for Maya to take her shot. The gunfire shattered the silence. Cole staggered back, his weapon clattering to the floor. Daniels, still gripping his side, used the distraction to lunge forward, knocking Cole unconscious. Maya rushed past them, following the sound. Behind a stack of crates, she found him. Anthony Graves, barely conscious but alive. Relief flooded through her, but she didn't have time to celebrate. Footsteps pounded outside. More were coming. Daniels groaned, struggling to his feet. "I tried to stop this," he admitted, his voice strained. "But I was in too deep." Maya gave him a hard look. "Then help me fix it." Outside, sirens wailed as backup finally arrived. But Maya knew this wasn't over. The crime ring wouldn't go down without a fight. And neither would she. As the flashing lights of police cruisers flooded the warehouse, Maya stepped back, allowing this scene to unfold. Officers swarmed in, securing the area, cuffing Cole, and tending to Anthony, who was weak but breathing. Relief settled in her chest. He was safe. Daniel sat against a crate, his breathing heavy, his uniform stained with blood and regret. He looked up at Maya, his expression unreadable. "I never wanted it to go this far," he muttered. "I thought I could control it." Maya studied him for a moment. He had made mistakes, big ones. But in the end, he had made a choice to stand on the right side. "It's not too late to do the right thing," she said. "Tell the truth. Expose everyone involved." He gave a slow nod, as if finally accepting the weight of his actions. As paramedics lifted him onto a stretcher, Maya knew justice wasn't finished yet. The people behind this operation were still out there. But tonight, they had won an important battle. As she watched Anthony being taken to safety, Maya exhaled. The fight wasn't over, but for now, it was enough. She turned toward the city lights, ready for whatever came next.